Early voting is underway in Virginia, but more than 10,000 Virginians were removed from the state's voter rolls because they were incorrectly listed as felons. Now there are calls for the Department of Justice to investigate. Don Scott is Virginia's House Democratic leader. He joins me to explain how how this happened. So, Delegate Scott, what the hell is the Yuck administration saying?
Well, what they're doing, as always, is they're showing how incompetent they are at this game. Part of what they're trying to do is shrink the voter rolls. They want to shrink their electorate. That has been their goal since day one. Just a few months before the election, a month before the congressional elections in 2022, they accidentally processed 256,000 registered voters at the very end, right before the election, stuff that should have been done a long while ago. So we already know that their goal is to prevent folks from voting. This latest snafu is another attempt by them to disenfranchise voters, disproportionately disenfranchise African-American voters, and that is what they've done, and that's what they've proven to do every opportunity they get. Thankfully, we have a congressional delegation along with our state delegation that has been calling for a federal investigation. We're asking the U.S. Attorney to take a look at this, the Department of Justice to take a look at what they're doing here in Virginia. We have some of the most consequential elections of our generation coming up. This is the election that will decide whether women will continue to have bodily autonomy or their own reproductive health in Virginia. This is the election that will determine whether we will continue to fund public schools and not throw away our public education system by an experimental lab school system that the governor wants to do. This is an election that will determine whether we will legalize marijuana in Virginia and create an adult use legalization market in Virginia. This is the election that will make sure that we continue to move forward with equity and criminal justice reforms in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Any idea who those 10,000 are?
We don't know, and we're asking for that. They've said that there are 10,000, but we think it only disenfranchised some other number, maybe 300 people. We just don't believe them. They don't have credibility on this issue. We know for a fact we have many members in our own House of Delegates where I serve who are election deniers. And so we don't trust them, and we really need to have an outside organization come in and look over their shoulder, because this is no coincidence that these things happen well within 30 days of the election on November 7th. And this in November 7th, we'll be electing all 140 members of the General Assembly, 100 in the House of Delegates, where I serve, and 40 in the Senate. And so it's not a coincidence that within 30 days of the election, they're playing with the voter rolls again.
Rebecca.
Besides asking Department of Justice to come in, what is the party doing to make sure that folks are double checking their registration to make sure that they're eligible to get out and vote?
That's a great question. We are doing everything in our power to let the community know what is going on. We're using text messages. We're using social media. We're using our attorneys to let folks know that these things are going on, that they should really be examining and making sure that they are registered to vote. We're telling them to go to the website iwillvote.com to make sure that they are registered to vote. They can check their voter registration there, or they can go to the Virginia Department of Elections website to verify that they are registered. They have to put their information in, and they can do it easily on their cell phone or on a laptop or other device. But we can find out within moments whether they're still registered or not, because we know that they are doing everything in their power to remove them. We're going to be challenging every vote. If they try to prevent folks from voting, I still tell everybody, still go and vote. And if we have to fight to get your vote counted after the fact, even if it's a provisional ballot that you cast, the law permits us to do that to make sure that you are allowed to vote.
Scott?
Hey, Scott Bolton here. Two things that I'm sure your lawyers are thinking about, and maybe you can confirm it.
Of course, Scott. He's an alpha man. Of course they are. But go ahead.
Well, his lawyers are Kappas, brother. I'm sure the lawyers.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Go ahead.
Okay, brother. Let me just ask you this.
We're not going to have this Divine Nine fight tonight.
Right. Okay, so there are expedited FOIA requests. There is temporary restraining orders, injunctive relief. I hope the lawyers are looking at that, because I think you can meet both of those requirements just based on the public information that I've been listening to. Are those on the table? Because that'll get you the PR and hopefully the relief that you really ultimately want to get the word out.
Well, it was in the Washington Post today. It's in all of the local papers today. The information is getting out, and we're making sure that we're doing that. The Alliance Group, you may have heard of them. They're our attorneys here for the Democratic Party of Virginia. We have a voter protection unit, and we're doing everything in our power to make sure that we have a legal strategy that's aggressive. And if we need to litigate, we will.
Can't win without them. Thank you.
Larry?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for coming on this show. So you talked about you have a number of some of your colleagues are election deniers, but you mentioned you don't have an idea who these voters are. So I'm curious at first, what are some of your colleagues on the other side I'll have to say? And then secondly, the reason why I'm making that point is what if happens to be some of these individuals individuals from the other party? And particularly I make that point because you mentioned they're election deniers, and there's always questions about, in Virginia and other states that it's rigged. So I'm curious about what some of your colleagues, your Republican colleagues, would say about this issue.
But that's a great question. They hadn't said a whole lot. They've been very quiet. They've deferred to the governor on this issue. They've been very quiet. And I'm always amazed. The last election in 2021, when they won the majority by a slim margin, they were not denying elections. If the system worked fine when they win, but when they lose, then there's something wrong with the system. So I'm not surprised that they would try to use tactics right now so they can build in some early excuses on why they should lose this election. We're going to be monitoring this very, very aggressively because we know these are the tricks that they've played for generations, and we will not allow it to happen in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Not this time. We're on top of it. We're going to continue to monitor it very aggressively. Thank God we have a state delegation and a federal delegation that is asking and monitoring the situation and asking for an aggressive follow-up from the U.S. Attorney. Unfortunately, our Attorney General here, Jason Miyares, hadn't said a word about this. He's a Republican, hadn't said a word about this. He'll investigate anything that has nothing to do with this type of stuff outside of his purview, but he won't look at these issues that affect the rights of the citizens of the Commonwealth of Virginia.
All right. And folks, as a reminder, we're going to be in Fredericksburg on Monday, continuing our conversation with House Democratic candidates there. It's a community conversation in Fredericksburg. We're going to be right there, Zion Church of Fredericksburg, beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern. Want you to pack the house out. Look forward to seeing all of you there. We, of course, were in Suffolk last night, Virginia Beach on Monday. Again, in Fredericksburg is next week, and then we're going to make our way to Petersburg and also Richmond as well. Delegate Don Scott, I appreciate it. Always good to see a fellow Texas A&M Aggie and Alpha brother on the show, always leading the way, unlike Scott's Kappas.
Whatever.
All right. Thank y'all. Y'all have a great night, and I appreciate y'all having me on. Let's stay on this game. Let's stay focused. We can win this election. We only have to turn 3 seats, and y'all are now speaking to I will have the opportunity to be the first African American ever to become Speaker in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So thank y'all for having me.
All right, let's make it happen. All right, Don, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. All right, folks, don't forget in Virginia, October 16th, the voter registration deadline to vote in this year's election. Those who register after this date through Election Day can still do so and will vote using a provisional ballot. October 27th is the deadline to apply for an absentee ballot to be mailed to you. Virginians can request an absentee ballot through the mail, fax, or online. November 4th, the last day of early in-person voting, and deadline to apply for an absentee ballot in person. Early in-person voting will end at 5 p.m. and November 6th is the last day a voter can request an emergency absentee ballot. And remember, the election day is on November 7th. All right, folks. Back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, Curl Prep Natural Hair Solutions is an amazing organic 2-step curl defining system for women, men, and children. Look at this video, you can judge for yourself. People line up to see this product in action at hair shows. When they take a seat to try it, they don't believe it is their hair. You can buy the products at curlprep.com. It works on all hair types. Use the code ROLAND, ROLAND, lowercase letters, to get a 15% discount until October 21st. Now, it's just 2 steps, sweet butter and sweet defining gel, both at curlprep.com. And also, parents, you can remove the ouch. You will love this system because you can comb the product through your child's hair with your fingers. Seasoned Saints are loving the product as well, and the line has products that are great for twists, braids, locks, weaves, even those wigs and extensions. It's all at curlprep.com. Again, use the code Roland, R-O-L-A-N-D, lowercase letters to get a 15% discount. That is until October 21st. Trust me, you will not believe it is your hair. Go to curlprep.com.